recording the cloud. Can I do? All right. Did you hear that?
Got it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So you know what? Sorry, Mary, I'm gonna end up calling you Nini because my wife has a cousin in Baltimore and her nickname is Nini. And
Okay.
she's like close to 80 years old and they still call her Nini.
Everybody
And
calls me Nini.
yeah, it's her childhood name.
Right.
So even my kids call her that. She's like, that's so funny. So my wife's oldest cousin. So if you know something different, or Tom, you know something different, probably exchange information at those points, because there's some things I might have wrong, somebody might have heard differently, but if we have all of it, it might help us to track back further.
Okay.
So
So who do you want to start with?
Patrick. So I just pulled up my family tree maker. There is the Patrick who was the founder of the clan here in the States, was Patrick Joseph Torpey, but so was his son. So his son is the one who married Mary McGuigan and lived in Hoosick Falls. So this is father and son. And they came over when Patrick, I'll call him Junior. Patrick Jr. was young. He lost his wife. She died in Ireland. So Patrick Joseph Senior and Junior came over together.
Oh, so Senior lost his wife.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. And so that I know of, that letter we saw where I was like,
right,
well, Dan needs new glasses. He can't read the census right, where he wrote a letter about the state of the farm that he was on. That was in Johnsonville, and that's near Hoosick Falls.
Yeah.
So, so I actually went to the site where the house was with my Uncle Larry, my mother's oldest brother.
Okay.
So he took us there. So there's a couple of towns I'll tell you about. One of them is called Scaticoke. I'm gonna have to look up how you spell that because I think it's an Indian name. That is where Patrick Joseph Sr. and his brother are buried. My brother went. Yep, my brother went there. Somebody within the town, looked up the records for my brother and said, I'll get back to you in about a week or so. Called him back immediately and said, Torpey's such an unusual name. I was curious, so I looked it up. So let me find out what his brother's name, I'll tell you. His brother was, hold on half a second. See, that's the one thing with this old family tree maker. You got to go one place for notes. You got to go one place for connections. Oh, okay. So
wasn't John, was it?
Well, there is a brother James, and James and Patrick are buried in St. John's Roman Catholic Cemetery in Scaticoke, and I'll spell it. It's SCHAGHTICOKE. So Scaticoke's just a little further away from Hoosick Falls, closer to Troy, New York. And so that's where the church was. Johnsonville was down the road a bit, in a still pretty isolated towny town. I think it's on the river. And then Hoosick Falls is a little further down the road from there. So what my brother found out was that James actually took care of the burial of Patrick Joseph Torpey Sr. and had him buried in St. John's Cemetery. So, and then James died in about 1905 in Johnsonville, New York. And he was born about 1830. So one of them, they know the plot. For the other one, they don't know the plot. And I can't remember which is which, but they do have it documented in the records in the town about James being the one that arranged for the burial. So a little bit of family lore. Our great grandfather, his son, had to borrow a horse and wagon to travel from Hoosick Falls to the burial in Scaticoke. So it was that far that they had to borrow a horse and wagon. They weren't going to get, easily. So, so I remember either my Uncle Larry or our great Uncle Larry told us that story. So the other piece, yeah.
I was going to ask you, did you have a date on Patrick Joseph Torpey's death?
Oh,
Let's
he
see.
died on December 27th, 1895, I think. Is that right?
Yep,
That's right.
1995. That's right. That's absolutely right.
What
Do you
is
know
it
what-
again?
It's December 27th, 1895.
Okay, thank you.
I got down that he died in Johnsonville, and that's just maybe where he died. But
That's the family
Yeah.
home, but he was buried in Scotticoke.
okay. Do you know, Dan, when was he born?
About 1811, the best I can tell from the searching I've been doing on things.
Okay. And do you know where in Ireland?
Yes, I do. So, well, wait, let me tell you this. Our great grandfather, the Patrick Joseph Jr., and I'm assuming his dad too, but I can't say where he was born, but where they left from was 6 Mile Bridge in County Clare.
Okay.
And I've been to County Clare. I've been to 6 Mile Bridge, tiny little town. That's the picture I sent you guys one time of my mom and her
Right.
sister, Peggy.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I think I put it on the Facebook
Right.
Torpey Girls page. So that was the center of town. I have no idea where they were from. I don't know what they did for an occupation. But that is where they're from. And all of the family, my family, know 6 Mile Bridge is where they were from.
Do you know where when they immigrated?
So I'd have to look again in the census. I think I printed stuff out and I have it in a folder. But if in one of the census for Hoosick Falls, it does give in the US census. New York did a census every 5 years. So the years in between the national census. So one of them said, about when he emigrated. And one of them gave I think, how many years ago, and I had calculated it, but I don't know where I put that piece of paper. I'd have to dig it back out.
Okay, so it's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So we don't know Patrick Sr.'s wife's name. We don't know exactly when he was born or where or when they emigrated.
no,
Okay.
but then, so there's a Patrick Joseph Torpey, there's a James Torpey. I have somewhere that there's also a John Torpey, born about 1810. I have not been able to confirm that he's related, but here's the story. When my uncle took us to where the family home was, by the way, there was nothing left there. There was maybe some stones from the foundation. And let me tell you that the trip down there, down a dirt road, I was starting to hear the banjos play. I was getting a little bit nervous. So, and there's somebody that had lived on the street too. And, we told them what we were doing, but we were told by my Uncle Larry, that the brothers to Patrick Joseph were stonemasons and that they worked on churches in Troy, New York. So they actually did stonework on churches in Troy. And at one point, Troy, New York was full of the robber barons during, the Victorian era. And it was on the river. So people were making money hand over fist on industry. So there were lots of churches being built, and several of the churches in Troy have Tiffany windows. And one of the Episcopal churches actually has Tiffany pews, Tiffany lamps, Tiffany windows. So the whole thing was designed and done by Tiffany. So there was some money there. So that doesn't surprise me about them being working on churches in Troy in that era. So and then here's some juicy family history. So that our great grandfather and great grandmother got married in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, or at least they raised kids there. I believe that's where they got married. I've not found a marriage certificate, but so I think that all the brothers lived in Philly at one point, and Also, Philly was a center for people coming from Scotland and Northern Ireland. And so our great grandmother Mary was Scottish and Irish. And my grandfather told the family she was not Irish, she was Scottish, but my DNA doesn't prove that. I should have higher Scots. And,
Right, me too.
Yep. So I'm like 12% Scot, which probably makes her somewhere around maybe half Scottish. And McWigan is a Scottish name, but I think it's also Irish. But a lot of Scots lived in Northern Ireland and Londonderry. They were sent over by the English, but they were Catholics. And I'll tell you about their side about her later. So they were stonemasons, but not only that, not our great grandfather, but his brothers were union organizers in Philadelphia, and they got run out of Philly on a rail for trying to organize the unions. So, and so at least one of them came back to live in the Schaghticoke, Johnsonville area, and that was James. This guy, John, let me see what I know about John.
Now, you talking about senior or junior here?
Okay, so senior's brothers, James, and maybe his name was John.
They were the union organizers?
Yes, yes. Yep, it was James and maybe John, the brother. I can't quite prove that he's the brother to them.
Yeah.
Let me see if I have notes. Okay, so this John Torpey, but they spell it Torpie, but nobody could spell. He was listed in the 1875 census for Hoosick Falls, and it's just too suspicious that there'd be another Torpey up there if it wasn't a relative. So there was a John Torpey in Hoosick Falls. And then I got to go find this, but a couple of our Torpey relatives were living in a boarding house in Troy, New York, and their neighbors were prostitutes.
Good part of town, right?
Yeah, that was like, great. Mom, you didn't grow up there, did you? But there were Torpeys listed there in the census. And I'll have to go see if I can find that stuff. I usually print it out and set it aside. This genealogy thing was something I was going to dive into when I retire and organize it. But anyway, so John's a name that might be the other brother. I mean, why would there be another Torpey?
Yeah.
Well,
Hoosick Falls.
I don't know. Maybe I'll just interject here since we're on the topic. So if you got I sent you each an email with some documents.
Yes, I got that.
Okay, so one of those documents is called I labeled it the 1880 New York Census. Well, that doesn't make sense. That wouldn't be a federal. That's not the federal census, but.
Well, it could be New York State because they did it every 5 years.
Right, but so it should have been like 1875 or 1885 then, right? I'll have to double check to make sure this is really the 1880 New York Census, but I made a note on the town that this is for, it says it's the Rensselaer County Census, 1880 Rensselaer County Census for Pittstown. And I was wondering if this is our Patrick Torpey Sr. So if you go to the bottom on the right-hand side and way on the bottom, you'll see a Patrick Torpey who's age 50, a Mary Torpey who's age 45, and then a John Torpey who's age 55. So, but that doesn't jive if they were born in 1910. This would put them back in 1830, not 1810. So,
I've come across some other Torpeys like in Albany and Schenectady. And when I look up things, not knowing if they're any relation to our Torpeys.
Right. I mean, this is Pittstown, right? In 1880.
Yeah.
I know in 1887, he was living in Pittstown.
And that's not far away from all that. And another place you might find them is in a place called White Creek. Never heard of it except for up in the Adirondacks.
Oh, okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, White Creek's a hamlet, I guess, around Hoosick Falls, and
Yeah,
Hoosick
not
Falls
far.
town. So,
So that was an interesting document. And then while we're there, if you could look at the, I found the deed. This is actually an abstract. I don't think it's the actual deed. It's like an abstract, but it's the Torpey 1895 deed book 247-77, that document. If you pull that up, so on the right-hand side is the deed where senior deeds the property, the farm, to junior, I think. But
okay.
I can't really read this. I don't understand. I was going to see if I could find somebody that could interpret this legal description to see what that is. But it's let's see. Patrick Torpey, he lives in the town of Pittstown, County of Rensselaer, to Patrick of the first part, who is from Hoosick Falls. What's the date of this? Oh, here, the 9th day of May, the year of our Lord, 1895. So May 9th, 1895. What was the date of that letter you said that he wrote? Was 1891?
I think it was 1887, I think.
1887, okay,
I think.
yeah. Here it is, right, I got it right here. Yeah, Johnson, it's from Johnsonville, and it's April 29th or something like that, April 20th, 1880. I don't know if it's got to be 7 or not, could be a 9. I don't know what that is, that last digit. So I don't know, this could be the deed, couldn't it?
Yes, it sounds like it.
So I would like to see if, but you know exactly where that property is?
No, here's the bad thing. It doesn't have a street name. It's off of Route 67.
Oh, it
in,
is?
Johnsonville.
Well, if we could find somebody to interpret this legal description.
I'm gonna ask Andrew if he can read it and tell us what it is.
Right, it's an old meets and bounds, which I know here in Florida, they didn't do it. We just use, 6 degrees north, 5 degrees south, but here these are chains. And, I don't understand what a luck is or a chain, 4 chain units. So somebody would be able to interpret this and figure out exactly where this is. So there was that. And then if you go to there's another one, there's 2 deed indexes I put in here. I think the deed index from 1895, Rensselaer County Deed Index 1895. If you open that one up and zoom to, I don't know if you can get to it or not, but it's down on the bottom of that, the bottom of the right-hand column, where it shows the grantor, the grantee, and then the where the deed is recorded and what the location is. It says Patrick Torpey is the grantor, Patrick J. Torpey is the grantee. May 10th,
Okay.
1895. It was recorded in page book 249, page 77, which is the one I just showed you. But here it says Pittstown, and I don't know what this 2324/1001 is. If that's the location, or what does that mean? Do you see what I'm talking about?
I'm looking.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I might be going too fast.
I'm looking for Torpey. I can't find Torpey. It's
Oh, so if you have it open, it's
okay.
this is
There,
the-
I found it.
It's the bottom one on the very last entry on the right column.
Oh, okay.
So Tom, I just look at a map. I can't pull up your documents because I'm talking to you guys on my phone. I'm afraid I'm gonna lose you.
Oh, okay.
I just looked up Pittstown. Pittstown is just outside of Scotticoke, and its border is the Hoosick River.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I think in that legal description that I was trying to read, I think I saw a reference to along a river, I think. So maybe the property was along the river. I don't know.
So maybe there's more than one property, because here's what I'll tell you. What got me confused, the property that my Uncle Larry took us to, that his dad, Jeff had taken him to show him. It was in the woods, and you guys are talking about him having a farm. And it's like, there's no way he grew anything in those woods, because I mean, it was woods, and maybe it grew up over the years. I don't know. It could have, but it was a wooded area, and it wasn't far from the river either, but it was definitely in, what the heck did I say? Nice mind I got going here. Not Scotticoke, Johnsonville. And Johnsonville is on the river. So it's all really close.
This is 23 acres, it says.
Okay. Yeah, well, and we were in the woods, so I don't know what the acreage would have been. All I know is like a small foundation, but the houses back then wouldn't have been big. Where in the heck is Johnsonville? So Rensselaer County is the county that Hoosick Falls, Troy, Pittstown, Scotticoke, and Johnsonville are in. Let me zoom in on this and see if I can find Johnsonville. Yep, State Route 67 runs right along the river. So where is Johnsonville? Hoosick Falls.
If you just go to Maps, Google Maps, and type in Johnsonville, New York, it'll take you right there.
Yeah, I'm trying. Oh, there it is. I found it. It's barely existent. It's just that I had to zoom in. So there is Scotcoke. Down the road is Johnsonville.
Well, Pittstown is 7 miles south of there.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, there's Scotticoke. I see Scotticoke.
I have a feeling that Johnsonville is going to end up being a hamlet, and because right now the map shows the borders of Pittstown, and it is right along the river, and it's right where Johnsonville is. So Johnsonville must be a hamlet and not a town.
Okay.
So Pittstown's the town.
Okay.
But then the proper of Pittstown is further away. It's on State Route 7. State Route 7 goes into Troy.
Yeah, I see that on this map.
Yeah. So I didn't know that Pittstown area was that large.
Oh yeah, if you Google Johnsonville, it says Johnsonville is a hamlet located in the towns of Pittstown and Scotticoke in Rensselaer County. It was named for the settler William Johnson.
There you go.
I've never heard of a hamlet.
Yeah, we have those in New York. For some reason, they're just, there's smaller sections of a town, they call them a hamlet.
Okay.
Which I think like White Creek is probably a hamlet of Falls.
Okay. Well, so anyway, we were talking about Patrick Senior and Junior, and I thought I'd share that.
Cool. So there you go. There's a mystery. It's Pittstown, hamlet of Johnsonville. So you learned me something.
Well, good. Yeah. Well, that's the idea. Share information. So.
Yeah,
all right,
and I'm the one that grew up in New York. Yep.
All right. So Patrick Jr., do we know did he have a brother or sister?
He might have had a sister named Anne.
Okay. And I assume they all came over from Ireland, right? Not just.
Actually, I did not hear about the sister Anne coming over. Patrick Jr. was a little guy, as I understand it. Never heard a story about his sister.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find something in my notes about her. You know where I got that from, Anne? Got that from your daughter. Your daughter
Michelle?
Michelle. Yeah. So, but I don't think we can confirm it.
I don't think we confirm that either.
And
So you think they came from 6 Mile Bridge, right?
okay, I would bet my farm on it. Yes.
Okay,
That's at least the
that's what I
family.
have. So that's what I want. And you think they met in Philadelphia?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay,
Yep. Now here's the trouble. I found the death certificate for their first son, who was named James.
Right.
And I never found a marriage certificate for those two. I looked in New York. The only other place I could look, just so you know, Hoosick Falls is really close to the Vermont border.
right,
And people passed over back and forth a bit, but part of my family has Vermont roots. The Hoosick Falls family has Vermont roots. And so it is possible, but I tried doing just a general search by their names and I cannot find a marriage certificate.
okay,
And, and then,
I might have,
sometimes
I might
they're
have
in
something.
oh, cool. Because sometimes they're married in a church and the church has the records, but it all depends on how, clean and clear the town hall
right.
record and vice versa.
So a quick side note, I found, I have the 1875 census from New York. And this has Patrick and Patrick Torpey, both of them on here. And senior is listed as age 64, which means he was born around 1811 then.
Right, right,
Yep.
that's right. We did figure that out. Remember when I found that 1875 census, we figured out they were first in New York, Hoosick Falls in 1875, and we figured out their ages about. And I think there was James on that census also as a bartender.
Ah,
I don't see. Oh, here's a John Torphy,
Maybe it's John.
Torphie.
yep, that's the one I
He
saw.
lived a couple of houses down on the same street. He worked in a saloon.
Yeah,
He was 65, so he was Patrick's older brother, John. He spelled his name different.
Well, the census taker might have done that.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Or, they didn't, I took a very, like a half a day Scottish genealogy class. They weren't all literate. They really didn't care about spellings back then. They didn't care about birth dates. The guy said, because they weren't going to get Social Security. So why do you care about your birthday? Oh yeah. And so, and there are multiple spellings of Irish names because they were a phonetic oral people, not a, so much of a written language kind of people. So
you know
they
what?
didn't really care.
What I found out with talking with a cousin that lives in Ireland now, my cousin's name was Gaffney, Gaffney. Over there, it's spelled Gaffey. So they spell it differently.
Yeah.
Yep. They couldn't understand the brogue.
Yeah.
Do you know what brogue means?
Yeah.
It means shoe.
Oh, really?
Yes. So they were speaking with a shoe in their mouth. But yeah, so it wouldn't be unusual. And Torpey spelled various ways. And of course, that's the anglicized version, not the Celtic version. You do know our name means sturdy or tar patch, right?
What does it mean?
Tar patch or sturdy.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was stubborn because I think, I don't know about you guys, but allegedly my mother is my grandfather's clone and allegedly I'm my mother's clone. So therefore, at least he was a determined gentleman. So, yeah. So, I do have this and let me see if I can see where I pulled it from. I don't have any more on her, I don't think. Somewhere along the line, somebody found information, and it might have been Michelle, I'm not sure. But somebody found some records at some point, I think in Ireland, that Patrick Joseph Torpey Sr.'s wife might have been named Mary Millard, 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 however they.
Okay.
So, and I think I've looked at 6 Mile Bridge. Oh, by the way, some aside family lore. So when we went to Ireland, my mom, cousin, and aunt and I went in '95, and we were staying not too far from 6 Mile Bridge. And so I went to, remember phone books? Well, there was a phone book in the hotel. So I looked it up. And by the way, 6 Mile Bridge is roughly 6 miles from Limerick and 6 miles from Shannon. So that gives you an idea where it is.
Okay.
It's close to the Shannon airport. So it's not quite 6 miles, but from each, but close enough. So I looked up in the phone book if there were any Torpeys left in 6 Mile Bridge, and lo and behold, there is. And the company that's there make Hurleys, and Hurleys is like kind of like a field hockey game.
Stick, right.
He makes the sticks for basically Hurley, which is like field hockey. And they're still there. My brother wrote him once, sent him an email. He didn't answer. Probably thought he was some poor Irish American relative looking for money. But but he's still there, and he's a Torpey. And he's still in 6 Mile Bridge, and the name's not very common.
It's not, I thought it was, it's not a common name.
It's not.
Huh.
Dan, my neighbor that lived catty corner across the street from me, his name is Fergus Sagru. His mother's name was Colleen, and she is from 6 Mile Bridge.
Get out of here.
What a small world. And they were telling me that they went to Ireland and they bought a Hurley stick from Torpey's.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know
wow.
what? I'm gonna do that. It's on my list.
But I'm like, no way. What a small world.
Yep.
You know?
It's their claim to fame. But anyway, I thought it was interesting. I try to look for baptismal marriage certificates and things in 6 Mile Bridge. There's some other towns nearby. I can't remember the name of them. Let me see if I can look it up. But there's some other towns nearby, and they easily could have moved around.
Right.
And, of course, they were moving for jobs. So
right. No, my cousin that lives in Ireland, she said, like the years that they were in Ireland, talking about our great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents, they didn't travel too far from the towns that they were in because it was so hard to travel,
Yeah, like on foot, right?
Right.
Where you can get to on foot. I'm not even going to tell you how many places my English family lived, obviously looking for work. Let me see what the other town is. So, but I put it out there. I do Torpey, and they'll give you variations, trying to find their baptismal certificates. One thing to know in Ireland, in Dublin, I think it was Dublin is where it happened. There was a big fire, and a lot of records are missing. And I get to a point where things stop, and I can't get back on some of the records. And I wonder if those are the years that were destroyed in the fire.
Right. Like my cousin I'm telling you about, we can only trace our family back to 1775, and then she lives there. So, it's hard to find the records. It's
further back than I've been able to get.
I know. Yeah.
And who's the most elusive one is great grandma McWigan. Good Lord, where did you come from? So let me see
I looked up McWigan and on Wikipedia, and what came up were the men that were killed in the bombing in Belfast, and a McWigan was in that. Was killed.
And guess what?
From Londonderry, I think.
Yep. Yes. And guess what? The family, Stephen is the guy's name, who's like our generation. That I believe that his grandpa and his great grandpa and our great
grandma.
Yeah, I'm getting confused. So Mary Ellen, I think that Mary Ellen and his relative were brother and sister. Bernard is one of their family names that's repeated over and over, and that's the guy who died in the bombing. He was a Bernard.
Okay.
Yeah. So the family likes to reuse the names, right?
Well, when you said your 12% Scottish.
Yeah,
I at first Ancestry had me as a little bit Scottish. Now I'm 100% Irish.
yeah, they brought me up to 25%. And then they dropped me back down to 12% in the latest one, because they're now giving you what, the DNA of your parents.
Yeah. Right.
Once they did that, they dropped my Scottish back down to 12%.
Wow.
So that's all right. I still joined St. Andrew's Society. I have a
Oh,
kilt.
did you?
Yeah. So.
What's your pattern on your quilt?
So if
I mean, on your
McWiggin,
kilt.
if the McWiggins were the Scots, which I don't know, it could have been her mom that was Scott.
Right.
McWiggins were a family under the McNeil clan.
Okay.
So that's the one. And
That would explain why McNeil comes up a lot in my matches.
yes, it could. Yes. And the Scots were strange. You know, here we go on a tangent, sorry. But the Scots would name some of the kids after the dad's family name, some of the kids after the mom's father's name, and some of the kids after the clan name. So you would have a family with 3 kids with 3 different last names, which these days we see that, don't we? But back then they didn't.
Right.
The Scots would do that. So some of this naming wasn't quite as important to them as it is to us. Well, I mean, it was important because they were honoring, their ancestors and the clan. I can't see, I didn't get a good map. Let me see, wait, let me try this map to give you some other towns around there. There's one that's a little bit bigger. It's not Innis, because that's not right. Anyway, can't find it. But anyway, so I've looked at some baptismal records and I can only guess, and some things don't match up. Like, don't really know if it's the right birth year,
Right.
but it's close. And so I just haven't been able to get too far on some of those things for Patrick Joseph, our great grandfather.
Now, I have a question.
Mhm.
Do you think they knew somebody in Hoosick Falls to come to Hoosick Falls? Or do you think they just happened to find Hoosick Falls?
Well, one thing is, if there, that was common, if they would connect with somebody that they knew. The other thing is, it could have been work if they, and I have no
Right.
idea how they got there. I don't know if they came to Ellis Island. I don't know how they came in.
Yeah, I
If they
don't
came
either.
to Ellis Island, if Troy and Albany had work to do, it's a 3-hour trip north. So it could have been work. Why Philadelphia? Maybe work. I don't know. Maybe Philly was a big port for the Irish too.
I was gonna
But
say, did they come in Philadelphia, do you think?
I have no clue. No clue.
Yeah.
We were able to find my dad's mother. She was from Ireland. My dad's mother was from Ireland. My dad's father was from England, and they made a go of it. And yes, he was Protestant, but she got dunked again. And now I'm Episcopalian. I'm sure they're all rolling in their graves. We found the ship my grandmother was on.
Oh, you
in the
did?
records. Yeah. So, but that was very recent. They came in the early 1900s. So the stuff way back then, who knows? I mean, they were basically steerage,
Mhm.
they were
Yeah.
just shoved. Yeah, they were a step above the supplies they shoved in the ships. So I don't know how good the records always were.
Yeah.
But let me see. Let me see if I see any notes here about baptisms or anything.
So Patrick Jr., did I already ask this? Did he have a brother?
No, maybe a sister. Oh, Patrick
Junior might
Wait.
have had a sister.
I might have had a sister that was born in Ireland, but I don't think she came. No one ever told me there was anybody other than senior and junior that came over together.
Okay.
Oh,
All
here's another one just to confuse the hell out of us. The name Charles for one of the brothers of senior is something my uncle told me, but he wasn't sure. He said, I think there was a James and maybe a Charles, but I'm wondering if it's actually this John guy that we see in Hoosick Falls and not Charles at all.
What is the name you said? Charles?
Charles.
Oh, Charles. Okay.
Yeah. So, but we know that two of them are buried in Scatacook. So we know Senior's buried in Scatacook and his brother
Mm.
James are buried there.
Now, is
And
that
there-
cemetery, is that Scottigook, is that somewhere you can go and there's actually like a tombstone?
There's no tombstone. You'd have to go to the caretaker or to the county, because I don't even know if it's a Catholic cemetery anymore. But it was called St. John's anyway. And there is no tombstone. And one of them, they don't know what plot he's buried in. One they do, one they don't.
Oh, is there any kind of marker?
No, you have to go. My brother went to the town, and then the town told him the plot. But there's no marker.
Oh,
Wow.
huh.
Tom, we was Poe.
Yeah.
I was thinking that, and then the tombstones in St. Mary's are huge, you know?
Yes, even my Milady relatives
Yeah.
have, but the oldest of the Milady relatives, so it's a recent tombstone. It looks like a tombstone from the 50s or the 60s. The next generation's one is marble and wearing out from the rain and the acid rain.
Mm.
But the older generation, it's a modern granite tombstone. Somebody must have purchased it later. But
All right, so
Wow.
do you want to move down now to Patrick and Mary's kids?
yeah. How about, do you want to do anything with Mary? She's just this
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
a big mystery.
I know nothing about her other than I think she was born in, oh, I have her obituary,
Yep,
which says she was born in London. She came from Londonderry,
yep,
and I think she was born in November of 1862. That's all I have.
yep, that's what I have. And she died in 1938.
Right, June 7th, 1938. She's at St. Mary's Cemetery.
Yep. Now here's the story on that one, as I know it. And I think our great uncle Larry, your grandpa's brother, he is the one that told us the stories about her. Besides my grandfather telling the family that she was Scottish, not Irish, but the story on her is that her mom died from an infection. I don't know why. I'm not sure if this is right, but I'm remembering it was a wound that got infected and she probably got septicemia and died. She died of a wound infection is what great uncle Larry told us. So now this is the story they told us. He and a son came over. This is Mary McGuigan's dad. I have no idea what his name is. It could be Michael McGuigan, and the mother could be Catherine Donaghy. That's the best I could read. And it was a baptismal certificate for Mary McGuigan, and the times lined up, but I can't verify it. But I don't know if she came over with her dad and her brother or not, but I don't know anything about him. What great uncle Larry told us was the dad and the brother to Mary worked in the meat packing industry in Chicago. And that is what he remembers learning from, the family. So that was great uncle Larry told us that. So I don't know the guy's name. I don't know where he was. I don't even know how to even try to track him down. So I don't know when Mary came over. We might find it in a census record later, an estimate when she came over. My understanding is she came into Philadelphia and she worked for a company that manufactured saw blades. And so when she got married, she quit work. James was born first. He died. He was about a year old. He died. He's buried in Philadelphia. And Mary, I think, you guys found the certificate for
Yeah.
the
The
receipt.
cemetery, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
For whose?
He was the first James, not the James.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
I call him Infant James. He was born in October 1886 and died in
Right.
1887, I believe.
Right. He had acute meningitis, I saw on the death certificate.
Oh, I've never seen the death certificate. Cool.
Oh, I thought you said you had it.
We saw the receipt
All
for
right.
the burial
Yeah,
of the
that,
cemetery.
I think.
Well, it's one of
The
those
cemetery.
documents that I sent you tonight.
Okay, great. I'll look
Okay.
them up. So now let me, I'll back up a step from there. And I know where James is buried. I have the name of the cemetery, and
Yeah.
Nini, you probably do too.
Yeah.
You too, yeah.
It doesn't, I looked it up. It's been taken over. It's old, it's closed, and it's been taken over. I think it was called New Cathedral Cemetery,
Yeah.
but I think it's full. I think it's full and not really using it anymore. So anyway, so Mary at some point met our great grandfather, Patrick Joseph Jr. They got married. Still can't find those records. James was born. Then my grandfather was born.
Wait, can I stop and just ask something real quick? So
Yeah.
I don't know where I got this information. This is another thing I want to do is I have some sort of citations, source information. But I've got for Mary and Patrick that they were married on December 31st of 18 something, and they were married in Philadelphia at the Church of St. Charles Borromeo. Where did I get
cool.
that?
Oh,
Nobody's
cool.
ever, nobody's heard. But I don't have any documentation. I don't know where I got that.
I gave him an estimated marriage date of 1884 based on looking at the census and trying to figure out from there, but I didn't hear that before, but I'm gonna put that down.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know where I got that, so I wouldn't say that's accurate until you have
Okay, what did
sort
you
of-
say it was again?
I wrote down. I have it here, December 31st, 18 blank, Philadelphia, and it was the Church of St. Charles Borromeo, Borromeo.
Okay.
So I don't know, but I don't know where I got that. I wouldn't just make that up. I don't know where I got it.
And let me take a peek in here because for some reason I have a marriage year of 1884. Let me see if I can figure that out.
Okay. Well, that would make sense if James was born in 1886.
Yep. I don't know why. This is one of the trouble with Tree Maker. The old version I have, you've got to leave one area. It's got like fields to fill in, like a database. And then you've got to go over somewhere else to make any notes. And it's kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And so some of this stuff is scattered. Hey, but that's closer than I've heard before. And Philly makes sense because if the first kid was born there, and I know they were both there.
Well, now her obituary, again, like, obituaries may not always be accurate, but the obituary says that she came from Londonderry. She came to here as a young girl, taking up residence in Philadelphia, and that's where she met Mr. Torpey. And then it says she and her husband came to Hoosick Falls 45 years ago. So 45 years ago, and she died in, when did she die?
1938.
So what year would that be? 1938 minus 45, 1938 minus 45. 1893, they came to Hoosick Falls?
It could be because I know that my grandfather was born in Philadelphia. I believe that your grandfather, John, was also, right?
Yep, right. Yep.
And then Aunt Mame was born in 1892. And I kind of sort of think she was born in Hoosick Falls. Maybe not.
Yeah, I've got him here in New York, but yeah, 1892.
Well, the other thing, Tom, is it's estimates too of 45 years ago. Was it 44? Was it 45?
Right.
What month was it and all
right.
those kinds
Yeah, I'd have to figure that out. And then of course, whoever this newspaper got the information, you're assuming that person had it right.
Right. And they get it from the family and they get it from the kids and they don't always, they don't always listen to their parents. All right.
So we know about James, the young boy who died, and then your grandfather was born. Can we just go through that? I got down December 24th, 1897 in Philadelphia.
He was born in 1887 in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, 1887. I'm sorry, I can't see it. My eyes are bad.
That's all right.
Would you have December what?
24th.
24.
Okay. Wow. Christmas.
Now, do you have a birth certificate or anything like that, or any sort of source citation information?
My mother.
Okay.
I always knew his birthday was December 24th. Somehow I know it was 1887, and I don't remember how I knew that.
Well, here, okay, so I'm looking at his World War I draft card, and that says 18. Oh no, this must be World War II. Wait, when
No,
was
you're
this?
looking. You're looking at Joseph?
Yeah, it says December 24th, 1887. But what is this? This is it's World War II, because he's 54 years old here. So
I think
Yeah.
they still had to register.
yeah, they
And
did.
World War
I've
II,
seen
yeah.
I've seen a bunch of them. Yeah.
And
So that's
my-
where he wrote down, and it's got his signature on here. He wrote down December 24th, 1887.
yeah. So my grandfather, this is part of the story I didn't tell you. So my grandfather born in 1887. He died May 10th, 1961. I never knew him. I was only a year old when he died.
Oh, he died May 10th?
May 10th, 1961.
Okay, and he died in Troy.
Troy, right? Because he lived in Troy. So, and that's not far away from Hoosick Falls. They used to go home every weekend, every Sunday, to have dinner with the family. And so they drove from Troy through Scotticoke, through Johnsonville, Pittstown, and over into Hoosick Falls along the river every Sunday. And sometimes they'd stop and go swimming. So, so when he was little in Philadelphia, he fell out of his crib, is what they said, or cradle, or whatever it was. There was some injury that he had when he was little. And so, if you see pictures of him when he was older and he was standing straight up, he had one leg that was straight and the other leg was much longer than the other one, because he broke his leg or his hip when he was an infant. So our great grandmother, Mary, picked him up, brought him back to her employer who made the saw blades. And because she couldn't afford to take him to the hospital, and she knew he needed, doctor's care in a hospital, and her boss went with her to the hospital and he paid the hospital bill.
Wow.
So we come from tough stock. So, so he was always, handicapped. And so he couldn't serve in World War I. So all his other brothers did, but he could not, because he had a very pronounced limp. But he was a painter and paper, and he climbed ladders and scaffolding and used to hop trains to go to Detroit to work. So it didn't stop him. He probably could have served, but
Do you know if they hopped a train to go to Canada at one time? I remember Uncle Larry telling that story. That they
I don't
hopped a
know.
train
I
and
haven't
went
heard
to
that.
Canada, yeah.
What the heck were they doing up there?
I don't know if they were looking for work or what.
Wow.
That's
Well,
funny, because I think I've seen like an immigration or some sort of documentation and coming an entry point from Canada.
You're
So
right.
one
I
of
think
the-
we did. Yes.
Cool. What were they doing up there? That's interesting. My grandma Jules' ancestors were French Canadian, but I'm sure they weren't going to visit. They didn't speak French. So we got his dates. Do you want to do the rest of the brothers and sisters?
Yeah. So tell me, when was he married to Julia? When were they married?
They were married June 16th, 1926. And they were married in Hoosick Falls.
Okay. Music Falls, Rensselaer County. And I suppose it's St. Mary's, or?
It's Immaculate Conception is the church. St. Mary's is a cemetery.
Oh, okay.
What year was that, Tom?
1926, he said.
Okay.
Can we just, while I'm on him, can we talk about his wife? I've got Julia Milady Halloran.
Yeah, so she was Julia Milady, and the Miladies live in Hoosick Falls. There's still some there now. And she married my grandfather, and then Holleran was her second husband. After my grandfather died, she married a neighbor and a friend from Troy.
Okay. So I have her down as being born on June 9th, 1904.
Yes.
Do you know where? I just have New York. Was she born in
Hoosick Falls.
Hoosick Falls? Okay.
Yep. Her mother was a unlicensed midwife.
Oh,
Yeah. So she would attend births. And my grandmother went back to give birth to all the kids back in Hoosick Falls with her mother. Except for the last one. He was born in a hospital.
huh. Let me just fix something here real quick. Hoosick Falls. I don't know why it wants to do Portland. And then I have down she died in August of 76, but do you know the day?
20th.
20th of August, 1976. And she died in Hoosick Falls.
Yep. She died at home. She was getting ready in the morning to go to 7 o'clock services at church. And the town's so small, she used to be able to walk there in the grocery store and the bank. When she lived in Troy, and then when her second husband died, she moved back to Hoosick Falls because she had two sisters still alive in Hoosick Falls. So she rented a flat on Main Street.
I remember that, across from the ice cream place.
Yes, yes, yes. I don't know what else they sold in there. All I know is they had
I
ice
know,
cream.
they had ice cream.
That's right. And it was a lot better than Stewart's ice cream.
Yeah,
So if you want to do, let's do this generation, I guess, do the other brothers.
Yeah,
So
sure.
we know about John. Do you want to know anything about him?
Let me see. Let me go back there. Let's see. Parents of Jeff, John. Let's see. So I have John, born March 30th, 1890 in Philly. Died March 31st, 1951. Buried at Arlington National Cemetery.
Yeah.
And actually, don't ask me why I have this, but near McClellan Arch section.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah.
that's where it is.
Yeah, and you know what? I wanted to document that because if I get back to Arlington, I want to go to the grave.
Yeah.
And then your mom was Marguerite Gannon. Is that her nickname, Marguerite?
I mean, his
Marguerite
wife,
was her full name, I think.
his wife, our grandmother.
Your grandmother, was she Marguerite is her first name?
Marguerite, yes.
Yeah.
Ah.
And
So not Margaret?
No,
And which of the many variations of Marguerite did she use to spell her name?
Marguarette, I think. Does that sound
Oh,
right,
yeah.
Tom?
well, that's not what I have. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I have
What do you have?
Marguerite.
Okay, let's go with that then.
But I
Yeah,
don't know.
for some reason.
I was guessing.
I don't know. Yeah.
And the Torpeys and the Gannons were good friends.
That's why I was wondering if the Torpeys knew of anyone before they moved to Hoosick Falls, because they seem to do a lot with the Gannons, Sharons, the Torpeys,
Yeah. Did they all live on Davis though? Not Davis. What was the name of that Uncle Larry Street?
Cummings.
Cummings.
Cummings
Did they
Street.
all live on Cummings Street?
The Sharons did. The Gannons, I think one Gannon did, but not. Oh,
Somebody
God.
lived on Eldridge.
Yeah, Eldridge.
Because this is terrible, but there's pictures we have, and I remember him because he looked like he was taller than the rest, and he appeared to have dark curly hair. And I think his name was John Gannon, and his nickname was Jap because he had almond-shaped eyes.
Well, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Oh,
Yeah,
of the son of the son.
it would have been our grandfather's generation.
Okay, so like Marguerite's brother.
Probably, yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yes, John.
Okay. Yep, they used to call him the Jap.
I didn't know that.
Well, it was World War I, World War II, and
Yeah,
he had almond-shaped eyes if you look at the pictures. So I have her as September 14th, 1893, born in New York State. So was she born in Hoosick Falls?
Yes, I think so.
yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think we have that, her birth certificate somewhere.
Let me see. What do I have here? Oh, Margaret. Oh, yeah, wait, Patrick Gannon and Mary Sharon. Yeah, I have her birth certificate. You can't read the handwriting. It's spelled differently here. It's like Margarit. But yeah, September 14th, 1893, Hoosick Falls.
How does your family spell Sharon? Because my doc is a Sharon too. How do they spell it?
Well, so on the birth certificate, it's Sheran, I think, but everything I've seen is Sherin. And then I don't know, Dan, if you know, but I've met Rick Sharon, who is so our grandmother's mother was Mary Ann Sharon.
Okay.
Right. So her uncle, her father's brother, his line that goes down whole nother line that I just learned about. And I'm friends with one of his ancestors, Rick Sharon, who lives here in Tampa. And he says that he can trace the Sharons back to Ireland.
Cool.
And they have all kinds of spellings. It's O Sharon and Sherear, and even Osirin, SIO'Sirin. So he has a bar in his house. He calls it Osirin's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, my doctor spells her name Sherrin, and they're from Cape Cod. Oh, here's another useless factoid. They also called, is this your great uncle, John Gannon?
Yes.
They also called him N-O-N, instead of John. It was probably his nickname from when he was a kid.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
Boy, no wonder why. I think I heard he had a drinking problem. No wonder why.
I think a few of them did. So who do I have? Okay, Marguerite, she died October 17th, 1977. And she's in Arlington with your grandpa.
Yes.
Yeah. I know I told you guys this story before, but it's very sentimental to me. I think when you got married, my parents took my grandma Jewel down to the wedding. I believe it was your wedding.
I wonder if it was mine or if it was Karen's. Could have
Oh,
been
okay.
Karen's too.
Okay. It was in the 70s.
I'll have to look at my pictures and see if I see her in there. Then I'll know.
Okay. It was in the 70s. And Tom, both of your grandma Marguerite was there. And I guess my grandma Jewel was pretty close with her because my understanding is they got together and the tears were flowing like the waterfall because they hadn't seen each other because, Tom, your family moved to Minnesota, right?
Later, yeah.
Yeah.
Not till the late 70s. But yeah, we were in New York. We were all over the place because my dad was in the Navy.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
We were all over the place.
But did your grandma and grandpa move to Minnesota?
No. Well, John Torpey died in Washington, D.C. in 51 or whatever we just said.
Okay. So Marguerite stayed in the D.C. area?
Well, she moved to Minnesota.
Yeah.
She went to Minnesota with Mary, her daughter Mary.
When the senators moved to Minnesota, she went.
Okay. I knew that story. They told us the story about the senators and the twins.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, so Dan, you said your grandmother, she went by Jules?
Oh, she was Julia, but everybody called her Jewel. So like Jule.
Okay. Jules.
She went by Jewel, but she was Julia.
Okay, yeah, nickname. I could put a nickname in here. And
Yep.
then, so she died in 76, so
Yep.
let's see, she died in August of 76. So Nini, when were you married?
I was married in 76, so I'm thinking it must have been Karen's wedding that she went to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, because I remember my brother and I stayed with my aunt and uncle, my mother's youngest brother, who had a camp in a tiny little muddy lake, near where the family settled in Johnsonville area. So we stayed with them while they went down for the wedding to take my grandmother.
Eddie?
Yes, Eddie.
Your
Yep.
Uncle Eddie. Yeah.
Yep.
We loved Eddie.
Oh my God.
He came down to Karen's wedding. You know
Oh,
that?
Was this Julia's brother?
no, that was her son.
Oh,
So maybe not. Maybe he came.
It might have been my dad.
He might have came when they were on their honeymoon. They
Okay.
might have stopped by when they were on the honeymoon,
Okay.
their honeymoon. So that was probably a couple years earlier than that. 'Cause
Okay.
they
Yeah.
were a
Yep.
little bit older than Karen and Joe. And
Yep.
a little bit younger than my mom and dad. So
Yeah. He was my mother's youngest brother. I think he was like,
Yeah.
he might have been like 10 years younger than my mother.
yeah,
Something like that. He was that surprise change of
right.
life.
Yes, I know all about it.
So,
so after John was married,
yep. We have Mary, and she went by Mame, I guess, Mame. They always called her Mame. Everybody.
or Mamie, Nini, what was it, Mamie or Mame?
No,
Mame,
Mame.
I think we called her Aunt Mame.
Aunt Mame.
Mame?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I asked my mother, how do you spell it? She goes, I don't know. We just called her that. Nice, Mom.
Sure. I don't know if you remember how she would say grace. Hail Mary, full of grace, something, something, second base.
Sounds like something right out of Sister Act.
Yeah, yes.
You know what? I was born in 60. So I only remember Aunt Mame as being sickly in bed and Uncle Larry waiting on her hand and foot.
Yes.
So that's what I remember. And I remember when I was a kid, her bedroom, was like dark and we go see her in bed.
Right,
and it was-
across from the bathroom.
Yep. And it was kind of scary as a little kid, but then
Yes,
Uncle
it
Larry would
was.
get her up and he'd get her up and sit her at the table. She'd have a cup of tea.
Right.
And then it wasn't so scary, but she loved it when we would go visit.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with her. Like now I'm a little bit older than you, so I might have remembered her a little being, more at the table, more, but we always wondered if there was something different about her.
I always wondered that too, like maybe she was a slow learner or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
could have been anything,
Yeah.
She was a left-handed child and they made her use her right hand,
Oh, that's not cool. Yeah, my wife's a lefty. She's in her right mind. Yeah, and the Uncle Larry, I do not remember Uncle Jack at all. So
No, you probably never met him. I never met him.
I know the stories and stuff, but I never met him. So Tom, all I have is for Aunt Mame, all I have is her years. I don't have the days, the months and the days.
All right, so I've got down, Nini, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I got she was born on March 24th, 1892.
Yep, I got 1892.
And I'm assuming that's in Hoosick Falls. I just have New York. Is it Hoosick Falls, Nini?
Yeah, I think so. I think they were all born except for Jeff and Jack, I think.
Jeff, Jack, yep, that's what I have in my information too.
Okay,
And she died in 68.
I have this
Right.
October. Nini, do you know what exactly when?
No, I don't. I'd have to look at the picture of the tombstone because I don't think I have her obituary. I'll have to look and see if I have that.
I don't have her obituary either. And do they have the actual month?
I do. How come I have it and you guys don't have it?
I don't know.
You're a better librarian.
Mary E. Torpey, 76, a lifelong resident here, died Wednesday at her home. Well, when was this? Died Wednesday. When was this?
Okay.
I'll have to see if I can figure this out. Oh, here it says October 3rd, 1968. But if that one, wait, hold on a second. What was, we'd have to see when this is the date of this article. So when was Wednesday then? I'll figure that out and I'll let you know.
Okay.
You know,
Um,
I know that she worked at one point.
Right.
Yeah.
Did she work in the shirt factory?
I don't know because, they had a few factories up there, but I don't know exactly what she did. But she did work for a while.
I know my grandmother worked in the shirt factory, and I don't know if my mom said that Maine worked in the shirt factory or worked in a factory. I can't remember.
Yep.
so this says, this article I got from newspapers.com. It's from the Bennington Banner from October 3rd, 68. And that was a Thursday. So if she died on Wednesday, it might have been the day before.
Okay.
October 2nd, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll put down October 2nd.
Tom, does it say about her working or anything, or is it just a
I was
brief?
just gonna see that. No, I didn't see it in that one, but I've got more than one obituary. So hold on, let me see if the other ones, anybody else? Oops, what is this? What's this one say? Obituary.
Oh, I got it. I found it in the Hoosick Falls town of Hoosick directory. Not sure of the year because it gave me the page number, not the year. But it lists Mary as an employee with H and Company. And it says she boards. She's a boarder. And then John, your grandfather, also employed by HH&C. I must mean company. And he's also listed as a boarder. And then Joseph, my grandfather, he was a core maker or whatever, and God's name that is.
I remember looking that up too. Forget what it was.
What year was this?
I don't know, Tom, because I have the page, but not the year. Didn't show up
Oh,
when
okay.
I got it through Ancestry. And then Patrick's still alive. Patrick J is listed as a molder, Moulder. And I don't know if that means concrete or what that means. Or
I
maybe
looked it up, but I can't remember. I think it was molding metal or something like
Yes.
that.
That's what it is. That's it
Wow.
for that.
So it had to be before 22. Yeah, well, our grandfather got married in 22, I think, so had to be before that sometime. Huh.
Yep. Now, the dirty story in the family history is that Uncle Jack went to her employer and asked them to unemploy Mary so she could be home full time at the Hoosick Falls house.
You mean Jim?
Jim, yes,
Yeah,
sorry.
okay.
Yeah, sorry, Jack's your dad. No, he wouldn't have done that. Actually, here's the story I hear, that your grandpa was the nicest one of the whole crew. And if that's true, Uncle Larry is the nicest guy I ever met in my entire
I
life.
know.
So I can't even imagine how nice your grandpa must have been.
I know my mom told us stories about what a gentleman he was.
Yeah.
That one night or one Sunday, he had a nickel or a dime, and he was going to go to the store and buy a cigar. But instead of buying a cigar, he bought a newspaper because the whole family could share the newspaper, but he would be the only one that would enjoy the cigar.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, my mom, whenever she talked about him, she got emotional. She loved him.
know.
I never heard her say anything negative or bad, really, about either one of them. But him,
Right.
She adored him.
They
Yep.
adored their dad and their mom, but they had so many fond memories of their dad,
Yeah.
That's nice. He died young, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
That's
Had
too bad.
a blood clot in his leg that went up to his heart.
Oh, no. It's not cool. Now, my grandpa, on the other hand, he was a spitfire, according
I
to
remember him.
all of the family. So I don't know. I don't remember him, but he was a spitfire is what I hear.
Well,
I
he died
remember-
young too. He was only 74, 75.
Who's that?
Your grandfather.
He's born 1856, died in 1922. My mom doesn't even know what he died with.
your-
I think it
No,
was
your
cancer.
grandfather,
Your grandfather.
Oh, my grandfather, sorry, got the wrong guy.
1887 to 1961. He
Yeah.
wasn't that old. He was 73.
Now, he was a smoker. My mother said he always had a pack of cigarettes in his pocket. And she thinks he might have died with cancer, but she doesn't know because they didn't tell, sometimes they didn't tell family members stuff back then. Although it was 61, but she has no idea. He was in bed. He also suffered with rheumatoid arthritis from time to time. So there was one point where he was out of work at Christmas time. And when he was out of work, there was no money. So, and then the neighbors all brought like hand-me-downs and oranges and food for the family. So, so I don't know what eventually got him, but he was bedridden toward the end of his life. And
I was
so,
gonna say,
only
we would
yeah.
visit Aunt Jewel and Uncle Jeff. I remember going to their apartment in Troy and visiting him, and he was bedridden. So that had to be 61 and 60, 61 around then.
The obituary says he had a long illness.
Yep. They just never, my mother did not know what it was, but he was in bed. And my uncles, when Kennedy was elected president, my uncles lift him out of bed, put him in his chair in the living room so he could watch an Irishman actually make it in the United States. And then when somebody would make up the bed, if things didn't go back the right way, he'd be screaming from his bedroom, Joel, where the hell are my goddamn rosary beads? Like, oh, you're gonna have to say an extra one after that, Grandpa. So yeah, she lived in that big flat, and they lived in that later on, in my mother's like high school years. And before that, they lived in a small little, it was the caretaker's house on an estate, but the estate house was broken up into apartments.
Oh,
So earlier than that, it was a small little house.
now,
That.
where did your Uncle Eddie live in Troy? I always tried to find that house when we go back.
Okay, number one, do not go there, because even in the 70s, it wasn't a cool area.
Okay.
He lived on House Avenue. So
Okay.
it was a dead end street. The street was nice. The neighbors on that street were nice, but coming over the side streets, it was off of Hoosick Street is the big street where the bridge is that goes across the river.
Right.
So it's off of Hoosick Street. And I think it's west off of Hoosick Street. But the neighborhood through there in the 70s was getting really dicey. And they
Okay.
used to be all nice houses. Troy, the robber barons left. And then the economy of Troy just spiraled in the years later because there was no industry anymore. And so there were these really nice houses built, beautiful brownstone buildings and stuff. And then, lots of working folks with houses or two-family houses. And then, the economy just tanked and there's no real industry there. So things got pretty rough. And so it was a drug area. So please don't go there.
Okay. I won't. Now I have a question for you. Was your grandmother's apartment, was that close to, what is it? The Rensselaer Polytech?
Not far. Yes, not
No,
far.
Okay. I always
Yeah.
thought it, with my nephew, my husband's great nephew goes there, and we went to a football game there this September. And I'm like, I know her apartment was around here somewhere.
Yep. It's actually gone. They built a school.
Oh, did they?
And there was a couple of vacant properties next to that place. And then they took over the building that she was renting in. And then they built a school, and now that school's closed too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you were a little east, RPI is to the east, and their place would have been a little further west.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not a huge city.
Okay. So,
Next is Larry.
So Larry, let's see, Let me go back.
Oh, I don't even know when he was born. 1894 is all I have.
Larry, let me see. There's military records for him, so must be able to find it. Let's see. Larry, yeah, I only have 1894 and died in 1990.
I don't have his draft cards. I don't know. I'll have to find those. Nini, you don't know either?
I'll have to look up my, on my ancestry to see if I can find it. Let's
Oh, he
see.
died April 6th, 1990. I know that from his obituary. So
Okay, I'm writing that down.
1890.
I was one of his pallbearers.
You were?
Yep.
See, you have many more stories because you were closer to them, you know?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, we would always, once a month or so, we go visit my grandma up there in Hoosick Falls, and then we'd always stop to see my grandma's two sisters. Not always, but often. One of them lived on Davis, and then not too far from the Torpey home. And then we'd always go up to visit Uncle Larry because everybody loved Uncle Larry.
Yeah.
So always stop to visit him.
Now, he never married. I always found that strange that he never married. He was so handsome. And
He
never
was. He was.
My mother told me, I don't know, I have no confirmation of this, or that he had a girlfriend and that she broke it off and he never dated anybody again. So
Oh.
I don't know how true that is, but.
Darn.
I found his birth in the obituary. It says he was born March 13th, 1894 in Hoosick Falls.
Let me get back there. March 13, 1894.
March 13, 1894. And he died April 6th, 1990.
Okay.
Wow.
So he lived to be the oldest.
Yeah.
See that? Single life.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something to be said.
So he was always skinny, always skinny.
Yeah.
So, and Tom and Mary, if you, the closest hospital to Hoosick Falls is over in Bennington. It's over in Vermont. So sometimes the death certificates will come out of Vermont because that might be where they're pronounced dead, or the
Yes,
hospital.
I think Uncle Jim's and maybe Grace's came out of Bennington.
Yep.
That's a good point.
I think that Uncle Jim, I think he died in the hospital, if I remember the story correctly. It was like post-surgery, I think, or something. I remember Uncle Larry telling us.
Oh, yeah. Look at this. So this says he died, and Jim Torpey died in Bennington, Vermont. I don't what is this? This is a family. This is his death record. Just says he died. I wonder if it tells where he died. At least I can actually find the record. I just have his. I have to look it up. It's from Ancestry. Oh, here's the death certificate right here. Let me see. What does this say? Come on, Tom. Come on, I can't see this thing. Let me make it bigger. There it is. All right, so he died. The place of death was Bennington, Putnam Memorial Hospital.
Yeah, that's it.
He was a barber. Does it say what he died from? Massive pulmonary embolus.
Yep. I think he had, if I'm not mistaken, it was post-surgery. It might have been, gosh, was it prostate surgery? Maybe.
It says due to prostatic hypertrophy.
Yep.
It was pelvic phlebitis from prostatic hypertrophy, whatever that is.
It's I think it's an enlarged prostate. It's probably prostate cancer.
Oh, a date of the operation. Oh yeah, he had prostatic hypertrophy on January 22nd, 64, and he died on January 28th.
You know, for some reason in my records, I have that he was born in Johnsonville, but I don't think that would be right.
You
gotta-
know, I think that's right too.
Oh, really?
I think I saw that somewhere too.
Yeah, let's see. Aim was born in 92, Larry in 94, and James was 96. I didn't realize he was the youngest.
I know, I always thought he was the oldest.
Yeah, no, I knew my grandpa was the oldest, but I thought Larry was the youngest.
I didn't think Larry was the youngest, yeah.
So I have that, but I'm gonna put a question mark next to it. But it was all in that same locality. So
He was
Now-
married to Grace.
yep, Grace Woodard, Woodard.
Oh, wow. Here's his World War I military draft card. This says his place of birth is Johnsonville.
That maybe is where it's from. Maybe that's
This says February 23rd,
February
1896. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, wow, I didn't know that, Johnsonville, okay. Well, that makes sense, because that's where his dad was living, I guess, right? On the farm.
That would be his great grandfather, his grandfather owned the farm. But you said it was deeded to then Patrick Joseph Jr. So
Right, well, Junior was James's father.
yep.
So
I
maybe
wonder
they
when.
maybe-
Does anybody know?
You know what? I think the date they bought that house in Hoosick Falls was like 1893, 1895.
Oh, I have that deed too.
So
Hold
that
on.
could be
Okay,
it.
cool.
It's one of the documents I sent you. Let me see if I can get
Okay,
back to
I
that.
didn't see that one. Yes.
Cool.
Let's see. Hold on. The 1902.
1902. Yeah, because
This
I have,
is,
if you
oh,
look
hold
on the Torpey Girls page, I have a picture of him when he's a little, almost toddler, and
this
maybe
is,
about,
I don't have the deed, I just have the index. The deed is not available online, but Patrick and Mary bought it from some guy, Michael Mayer, January 29th, 1903, 9, says Hoosick, E.S. Heinzel, this says Hoosick, 9, is
Does
it
it give a-
Eldridge?
does it give a year that the house was built? Because I think it was built like 1864.
No, this is just a deed index. It's just listing
Okay.
where I can find the deed. But I have the deed book and page, but I can't, it's not online.
So they bought the house in 1902, Tom?
1903, January 29th, 1903.
Okay.
So if he was born in 1896, he might have been born on the farm then.
Right, so maybe the other ones were too, and not in Hoosick Falls. Interesting. So, James is the one, great Uncle Larry and Jim. They built the camp on Hedges Lake. And then when great Uncle Jim died, then my Uncle Larry bought the camp from, okay, this is too confusing. My Uncle Larry bought the camp from great Uncle Larry. And so all the while I can remember my great Uncle Larry owned the camp on Hedges Lake, and we used to go up there all the time.
Hmm.
So those were our vacations from multiple years going up there.
Ours was going up to visit Uncle Larry and then spending a day or two at Hedges Lake.
Okay. And was great Uncle Jim still alive then, or you said you didn't know
Well,
him?
I did. I
didn't
remember
know our
going a
grandfather.
couple years he was alive. In fact, one year when I was like maybe 3 or 4 years old, my mom and dad and Uncle Jim and me went for a ride out through like the country roads, and he came upon a black panther or cat,
Uh-huh.
and he shot it. And there was a write-up in the newspaper about it.
Ah,
It was with him with the, I think, I don't know if it was just a picture of him or a picture of him with the cat, but
Huh.
it was a big like Black Panther.
wow.
So he's another one, Dan. I think you had said once that you had heard he was kind of mean towards Mary,
Mame. Yeah.
Mame. But
Well,
my mom loved him too, and he walked my mom down the aisle. I never heard anything bad about him.
yeah. See, I think I don't know this for sure, but I have a feeling that my grandfather and Jim did not get along well. And so that might have been part of the problem, because one time when I think Aunt Mame had surgery, my mother and Aunt Peggy went up, and my Aunt Peggy, by the way, was a saint. And so they went up to help take care of great Uncle Larry and great Uncle Jim. And my mother said he was one of the most miserable bastards that she had ever encountered in her life.
Mm.
She said he was maybe, I don't know, maybe he didn't know how to treat young kids or something, but he was just absolutely mean to them. And my mother never forgot that. And I
Wow.
don't know that he was mean to Mary, but he did make sure that she stayed home to take care of the house.
Wow.
So, but it might have all been a matter of, my grandfather and he might not have gotten along.
Hmm.
Right. Well, maybe there's another side to him that we don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I know that all the pictures, like with your family together with him, that, everybody's smiling and happy and having a good time and all that stuff. And then somebody was saying that he was always like a jokester.
Well, he
Well-
was like a jokester, I think.
Yeah.
I've got that one picture of my mom and him at the camp at the Hedges Lake, and he's dressed up like in a clown outfit.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I really do. I think, how that happens though, like, brothers don't get along, and then therefore,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
just not, yeah, it's just not good. But they all loved Aunt Mame and Uncle Larry though. And,
Oh yeah.
and they always loved it when your families came to visit.
You know
And
what? My mother has such fond memories of being with her cousins when they were little, and I guess visiting Uncle Larry and or the great grandmother, and the fun that they had together with Peggy and your mom.
Yep.
And even the boys, I guess, when they were little too. But I know especially with Peggy and your mom,
Yep. So
So- Oh, go ahead.
I always thought that because we went up to visit Mary, your mom and dad in Hoosick Falls, so I could take the kids up and so they could see where the ancestors were from and meet your mom and dad. And one thing, I'll tell you something, my dad died with cancer, and he had cancer for like 3 years, but he did well with it. He had metastasized colon cancer. And your mom and dad came to visit one time, and your mom prayed over my dad.
Oh yeah.
That was nice of her to do.
Mm.
And but yeah, I always thought my mom looked a lot like your mom. And your mom said to me, if you think that I
Right.
look like your mother, you got to meet
Rita, right?
Rita.
Or Mary. I
Yeah.
think Mary too looked like your mom.
Yep. And you know what? I see the Torpey I see it in you. I see it in Patty. Sorry, Tom, I don't see it in you. And
Oh, you know what? You know what?
Well, actually, I look like
You look like our grandfather.
yeah,
a
Yeah.
lot.
especially in my back. I won't do this since we're recording. I won't show you my back, but they were hairy, and
Ah,
I've
well,
got the
guess
Torpey
what?
back, I think.
So you plug your ears, Mary. But my dad's and his brother are hairless. I got the Torpey hair too. And so and then what else is my Uncle Larry, Tom, you've got his Navy picture posted, and that information you sent somebody did. Actually, no, wait, maybe it was you,
It
Mary.
was your Uncle Larry.
My Uncle Larry, my mother's brother, in a
Yeah.
Navy outfit.
Yep,
And-
I got that.
Yep, he looks like your grandfather in his World War One pictures to me. No, and
I'll have to look at that.
they look so much alike to me. And then
They did, yes, they did.
My Uncle Jimmy was, one of the, no, Uncle Jack was one of the next ones. He was kind of a mix. My Uncle Jimmy looked like my grandmother, more French Canadian, a little bit darker. And
He
Peggy
was
looked
darker, yeah.
French. Yep, and my Aunt Peggy was a little darker. She looked more like the French Canadian. She looked like my grandmother a lot. Now, I look exactly like my mother. I mean, in my high school graduation picture, my friend said, put pearls on him and he looks like his mother. So, and we were talking about just a little bit ago about Mary McWigan. She had red hair because my mother was a kind of strawberry blonde, reddish,
Right.
well, darker, a little darker than strawberry blonde when she was little. And her dad loved it because it was the same color as Mary McWigan's hair color.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So and my brother got red hair. I lost mine. It was reddish, but I lost mine.
I had reddish blonde hair too, but it's gotten darker as I've gotten older.
Yeah, mine's getting light. Mine's getting light again.
And light again.
Along
yeah.
with this, yeah,
It's getting light again.
they get light again. So, yeah, but I see it. Yeah, and Justin, is it Justin Brennan?
Yes.
He and my cousin Joey, who died. Holy cow, they look like brothers to me.
You know, we knew Joey and Steve and Chrissy when they were young,
Yep.
when they lived in Baltimore. We would go visit them in Baltimore. And then
Yep.
they moved back to New York. And we saw Chrissy. I don't remember seeing Joey and Steven, but I remember them when they were little.
Yep.
We would see them.
Yep. And it's just so amazing. All of a sudden I'll see a picture and I'm like, oh my gosh, this one looks like this one, or this one looks like that one. And I see the Torpey and the Brennan twins, especially
yeah.
their eyes, from their cheeks up.
Yeah.
I see it in them. And I don't think Tom looks like a Torpey.
Tom
Brennan?
Brennan?
Yeah.
Sometimes he reminds me of Aunt Rita. Sometimes I see Aunt Rita and Tom.
Okay. Well, I don't know in person. It's only from pictures and things.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's different.
All
right.
Can we go? I know it's getting late. I don't know how longer you can stand, but can we go down and do your grandfather and your grandmother, their kids?
Sure. Get back there. All right. By the way, Mary, your sister is friends with two of my Milady relatives that are stayed in Hoosick Falls.
right.
My grandma's.
I knew Joe because he would come over and he would cut the grass for her.
Okay.
So I met him, when we were up there.
Yeah. And their father was my grandmother's cousin. So we're kind of a little bit off in the ages and the generations.
Okay. Do you know any Millets? Because Tom had said our cousin Chris, who was Rita Gannon Higgins' son, he lived in Bennington with his mom, and she always talked about the Millets. Now I've heard of the Millets, but I don't know how we're related to them.
I don't know them.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Yes, I do. Oh, God. Okay. Brain cramp. So yes, I do. My grandmother's sister, Loretta, was married to Joe Millet.
Okay.
And then, so I don't know who all their kids are. I know June is one of the kids and she's a baker. And there's still a baker.
Yes, June Baker. Right.
Yep.
I remember my mother talking about June Baker.
Yep. So there were, I think they might have been cousins of some sort, but and June's daughter, Debbie, still lives up that way. And I think she's friends with Patty too.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That explains it.
I gotta take a quick bathroom break. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. I'll be right back.
So, Mary, where do you live? You live in Maryland or?
Yeah, we live in Damascus, Maryland, which is close to Frederick. Maryland.
Okay, okay. And then it seems that the Brennan guys, who would be my kids' generation, it seems that they're mostly in Virginia, right?
Virginia, like Northern Virginia, yes, Manassas.
Okay,
No,
Yeah,
they
'cause
came up to visit Patty a couple years ago on their motorcycles. They drove their motorcycles up there and visited her.
yeah, so that was, I saw that the picture somebody posted, so that was, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember their names. It was it, he's one just recently had a kid, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
shoot.
Justin,
It's not Justin, he's a
Patrick.
firefighter, right?
right, Justin, Patrick, Matthew,
It's the other guy.
Katie, Justin, Jan. Jeez, that's 4. Justin, Matt, Pat, Katie, Thomas.
That's him, it's Thomas.
Yes, and there's one more, and I can't think of who it is.
Thomas is the one I know, one of them that went up to Hoosick Falls.
Yeah.
All right, so Tom, we got my mother's siblings. So first one is Lawrence.
Okay, and he went by Larry. Lawrence, Joseph.
You know what? I don't know his middle name. And you know, some of them didn't really have middle names. When they were confirmed, they took the confirmation name as their middle name. They didn't all come with them. But when they died, like my mother she didn't have a middle name. She took Ann and she just used it the rest of her life, and she was known by that later.
Ah,
So I'm not sure about middle names.
okay.
That's going to get really confusing because, you know, all these people were named after their uncles.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So he was born January 21st, 1927. He was born in Detroit. So
Okay,
this
got
picture
that.
is in Detroit. That was in that time period. He died August 5th, 2004. He died in Troy,
Okay,
and he was a World War II vet. He was a painter and a paperer, and he was really good at it. He took my grandfather's trade. And do you want his spouse, or are you going that deep?
yeah, I can add it.
So Mary, and I have no idea what her last name is. It's terrible. We have no clue. And the death notices, my uncle wasn't into all that stuff, so we don't even know what her maiden name was. She was born January 18th, 1918.
Oh, do you know her first name?
Mary.
Oh, Mary, okay. Mary, but we don't know her maiden name.
How could she have been born in 1918?
All right, and she
I
was
know.
born, what was the year?
It
Or
says
the date?
1918, but maybe she was older than him. And then she died June 9th of 1999. So she was from Troy, and both of them died in Troy.
Okay, let me go back. Hold on, I gotta go back to him now. Where was I? Torpey, Larry. Sorry, I'm getting lost. I had
Sorry.
to add somebody, so no, that's right. You're all right, man. I just don't want to hold you up. Larry. Oh, wrong one. Lawrence Joseph. We're not sure about the middle name. And yeah, he died in Troy. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So let me do this. Sorry, 1 second. All right. So, and did they have any kids?
They did not. He was married about 3 times, and he was never married to Mary. But New York State had common law marriage, so after 7 years, they were husband and wife.
Okay.
He was,
I did not know that.
yeah, he was married right after the war to an Italian girl on Staten Island, big fat wedding, and big fat Italian wedding, and that didn't last. And then he was with somebody else, and then with Mary, but they stuck together a really long time. So
She was a hairdresser.
she indeed was, and every once in a while, my grandma's hair came out a little bit too blue rather than white. So the next one was James. And I do have a middle name on him as Thomas.
Oh, okay, I have John P. was born in 1928. That's not right?
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. This family tree maker doesn't sort them by birthday. Let me get you by the birth dates. So yeah, John
Patrick.
P. Yep. He went by Jack, of course.
He did go by Jack? Okay.
Yep. He went by Jack. Lawrence went by Larry. He was born, I don't have the date.
I've got February 9th, 1928.
You're a date ahead of me. I have February 1928, so February 9. Look at you helping me fill in my family
Well,
tree.
but again, I don't have sources. I don't know where I'm getting this.
So what was the date? February what?
9th.
February 9th, 1928. It was definitely 1928.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't have a source. So I'm not sure where I got that. He was born in Hoosick Falls.
He was. So my grandmother went back home and all the kids were born there, most of them. So he died November 17th, 2001.
Uh-oh, I gotta adjust my battery. I'm still here.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And then he died November 17th, 2001 in Albany.
Actually East Greenbush, but close enough. It's across the river in Rensselaer County.
Oh, okay, but that's the right date, November 17th?
Yes. Actually, he could have died in the hospital, but I thought he died in the nursing home across the river.
All right, let
He
me
was
make
a
a
World War
note.
He was a World War II vet also.
I'll add a note. Dan Burrows thinks he may have died in, what was the time you said?
East Greenbush. They might have taken him across the river to the hospital.
Okay.
He was married, if you're interested, but no
I think I'm
kids.
gonna skip the spouses just because that throws me.
Yeah, it gets too deep.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
all right, maybe some other day, but for now.
Another day. Let's get the main blood carrier.
Right. All right, so then next is James.
Yes,
James Thomas.
Yeah,
What did he go by?
he went by Jimmy.
Okay. I've got February 4th, 1929.
That's
Hoosick
right.
Falls.
Yep.
He died September 25th, 1976.
Yes, in Troy.
In Troy. Okay, I don't have that. Troy, that's Rensselaer County. Okay.
He died 2 months after my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he had a massive heart attack. It was on the weekend. He was supposed to go to the veteran. Most of my uncles went to the VA hospital for their care. He was supposed to go in for a stress test that Monday, and he died on the weekend. Now, he was married. We don't have to go that deeply. Don't know her name. And he had 3 kids, and we have totally lost track of them because they divorced. And the kids grew up in North Carolina. I met them all once, but that was it. Let's
Okay,
see.
I'm just gonna make a note. Lost track.
Yeah, I got the kids' names, but I have no idea where they are.
All right, and I'm gonna put a note back on John again. You said, wait.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, just tell me the name at least. I'll make a note.
Okay, so let's see. Where are we? James. Okay, for James, his wife was Betty. I assume it was Elizabeth.
Okay.
And then if you want the kids' names, I'll give them to you.
Okay, kids' names were, okay.
Karen,
Okay,
Patrick, and Kathy.
okay.
I think
Okay.
they were all adopted.
Oh, they were all adopted? Okay.
I believe so. Let's see.
That was John Patrick. Then we did James.
Okay, wait a minute. You did James?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
We can repeat it, or you can go back and listen to the
Okay, we can
4-hour
go back.
recording later.
Go back. Okay, so who are we doing now?
Well, we
Yeah.
done with James? We got his, he was married, had some kids.
Yep.
Um,
So then we have, the next one in age is Aunt Peggy. So we, Margaret, who went by Peggy.
okay, Margaret Torpey. Do you know her middle name by any chance? Does she
No,
have one? Okay,
I don't know.
but she went by Peggy. Okay, do you know when
Yep.
she was born?
Yep, July 13th, 1930.
July 13th, 1930, okay.
And in Hoosick Falls.
Music Falls. Okay. What
And she
about
died
that?
November 27th, 2010.
27, 10, okay.
And she, do you want to know where?
Yeah,
It's Mechanicsville. And that's in New York.
Mechanicsville, New York. Okay, where? Not finding that. Mechai, mechanic, right?
ANICS and then Ville, VILLE.
Okay, New York.
910.
Do you know what county that's in?
I think it's Saratoga County.
Oh, all right, it's not finding it, but I'll just put it in here and I'll have to figure that out later. Okay. All right.
And okay, so let's see.
Was she married?
She was. I can give you notes on that. Let's see. So his name was Stephen Sally, Sally.
Okay. They have kids?
They did. Now, I only have the abouts on the dates for my cousins because I go backwards from my birth year. So, but I'll just give you their names.
Okay.
So there was Stephen,
Okay.
Christine,
Okay.
Joseph,
Okay.
Kenneth,
Okay.
and Patricia.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Kevin, for Kevin.
Kevin and then Patricia?
Kevin, then Patricia, right.
Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And 2 of them are deceased.
Joseph is deceased.
Yes, yep, he had cancer,
Uh,
he was young. And
Yeah.
Kevin had a condition somewhat like MS that ended up at a young age putting him in a nursing home.
um,
Yeah, and eventually pneumonia got him.
now Chrissy went to New York City to teach.
Chrissy, I don't know about New York City. She went to school in the western part of the state, and then she went to the University in Albany for her master's. She was teaching in Catskill and Coxsackie, New York, which
Okay.
is down the river, but
Not New York City.
Catskill's about an hour away, maybe from
Okay.
Albany. Coxsackie's probably maybe half an hour or so. She's
Okay.
retired. She's retired. Kenny
Okay.
worked the state, he retired. And Stevie, the oldest, the last I knew, he is in Florida. He's a social worker, but he runs a program for kids, after school programs and learning programs and stuff. And he was big into sports.
Oh,
So he's
wow.
always doing stuff with kids. He was in the Daytona area. And Patty's still up around Mechanicsville, but we don't really talk much. We don't see them much.
Mhm.
Let's see, who else we got here?
Did
No.
did Steve and Peggy, did they divorce or did he just leave?
Steve left Aunt Peggy when they lived in Maryland, and my uncles had to go get her because he left her with nothing. They got back together, had 2 more kids, and they split up again. And because Aunt Peggy is remember I told you she was a saint?
Yeah.
Well,
right,
she's an Irish Catholic saint. She wouldn't divorce, but she
okay,
had a separation that was as strong as divorce, legally
right.
anyway. So he ended up getting very sick, moving back to Mechanicville, and needed to go to a nursing home. And my mother told Aunt Peggy that she would come up and slap her upside the head if she took care of that bum of a husband of hers.
Ah,
Well,
she
she
did, didn't she?
she never ended up taking care of him.
Oh,
No.
okay, good.
Yeah, and some of the kids didn't talk to him either.
You know, oh, no.
Yeah, but he was reaping what he sowed.
My battery says low, but it looks like it was charging. But I think, was his parents very good to Peggy?
Oh my God, yes, Mr. Sally was such a nice man.
Yeah.
And my Aunt Peggy, she never drove, and she used to take the bus or get rides from people, and she took care of her uncle-in-law and Mr. Sally. Mr. Sally had emphysema, and so she took care of him until he died at his house. But he gave my Aunt Peggy the house that she and the kids lived in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a super, super, super nice
I
guy.
thought I remember them being good
Yeah,
to her.
even though Sally doesn't sound like it, they were Russian.
Oh, okay.
Their family's Russian. Let's see. So we got Peggy. So next comes my mom.
Okay.
So she's Anne, Anne, and she took the middle name Marie.
Okay.
And she was born September 14th, 1933,
Okay.
and she was born in Hoosick Falls.
Got that.
And she died July 6th, my son's birthday, 2013.
wow.
Yeah. As like he goes, we were on vacation, and he goes, of all the weeks of the year and all the days of the year, I said,
Oh,
Grandma wanted to make sure you never forgot her. So
Aw,
she was living here. So she died in Georgia,
okay.
but
I
she's
didn't know
buried.
she was living there.
Yes, my wife moved her parents in to take care of them until they died, and then a few years later we moved my mom in to take care of her here.
Oh,
So multiple health complications. So my mom was 79 when she died. Aunt Peggy made it to 80. Aunt Peggy lived the longest.
Yeah, the
So-
photo of your mom in the obituary, she looks like Rita to me there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I showed the kids the picture of your moms and your two aunts. And I said to them, who's that? And my kids are like, well, that's grandma. I'm like, no, that's grandma's cousin. Let's see. So my mom died. So my dad, if you're taking names, I don't know. He was John.
Okay, I'm just gonna make a note.
Yep.
Married to John Burrows. Okay.
And then there were three of us. So I had an
Oh,
older
wait,
brother.
actually, I am gonna add him because I want to add you guys. Oh, I do have John P. Burrows. I already got him in here.
No, that's my brother. So did you say P as in Peter or T as in Thomas?
Yeah, P is in Paul or something, yeah.
No, he's actually, his real name is John Doyle, Doyle.
Oh,
And Burrows, that was his mom's name, but he took the name Thomas, so a T.
okay,
Thomas as his legal middle, well, not legal, but that's the name he used. So his real name is John Doyle Burrows, but he used Thomas.
okay,
And
all right.
do you want his dates or
Yeah, yep, let me see, when was he born?
September 19th, 1925?
September 1925. And I guess where was he born?
Albany, New York.
Albany County, okay. And
Yep.
then when did he die?
January 14th, 1991,
Okay,
and also in Albany.
Albany, New York, okay. What about their wedding, their anniversary?
Yep, May 31st, 1958.
Okay, Albany,
Nope, Troy, where mom was from.
all right.
What was the date again? I'm sorry.
May 31st, 1958.
Okay.
Is Troy in Albany County or Rensselaer County?
Rensselaer County is across the river.
I don't know why it's coming up as being in Troy. Troy, Rensselaer. There might be a Troy in Albany County too. All right. And Dan, someday I wouldn't mind getting photos of some of these people.
My
At
brother's
least-
got, my brother has most of the photos, but I think I have their wedding photo. So I could get that for you.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay.
And then, I don't know if you have photos of your aunts and uncles, that kind of thing.
You know what's terrible? I've got the Uncle Jimmy is the one we have no pictures of. There was one Polaroid picture of him and I think it was up at Great Uncle Larry's place in Hoosick Falls. And I gotta ask my brother if he still has it. You have like no pictures of him. I don't know why,
Oh,
but I'll get you some of the other ones.
okay. And that photo I have of the sailor guy, that's your Uncle Larry.
That's my Uncle Larry, my mother's brother. Yes.
Okay, all right. I have him in here twice for some reason. I'm gonna delete this one. So there's only one Larry.
Yes,
All right, and then the youngest one was Edward.
that's right. Do you want my brother's names? And
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, well, let's do your uncle first, and then I'll come down to your level.
okay, that's cool. So the last one is Edward J. I think it's James. I'm
Okay.
not sure, but Edward J. that I know of.
Did he go by Eddie?
He went by Eddie. They all had nicknames because my mother, she was just Ann. You can't really do much with that.
All right, when was he born?
May 8th, 1942.
Okay. In Troy? No.
I think he was born in Troy. Yeah.
Rensselaer. All right. And is he still alive?
No. The drink got him. March 4th, 2005.
Okay. And
And
where
he
did
died
he
in
die?
Troy.
All right. Was he married?
Yes. Diana Callahan. I think she was Jewish.
Okay.
And I don't have her birth date, but I know when she died. She died in 2020, May 27th, 2020.
Aw.
Did they have any kids?
They did. Mark and Daniel.
Okay. All right. All right, so that's Edward. Okay. And then, all right, and then we'll go, I guess if that's it, we'll go to you and your brothers and sisters.
Yep. So the oldest, John
Who's the
Patrick.
oldest?
Yep,
Oh, I don't
John-
even have him down here. Okay. John
he died-
Patrick?
Yeah, John Patrick. He died when he was young.
Patrick. Male. All right, I'm gonna add him on here. When was he born?
March 19th, 1959. My dad's uncle from Ireland who lived in town told my mother she had to have the child on March 17th. 'Cause that was his birthday, quote, his birthday. And she said, Uncle Mike, these babies come when they're ready. And
And where was he born?
he was born in Albany.
Rensselaer. Okay, so hold on one sec. Sorry, it's not coming up. Albany. All just put Albany. I can't.
My iPad is not charging, so I might disappear suddenly. So,
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Kevin has a charger somewhere.
When did he die?
I don't have the day, but it's December of 1961.
Okay. All
He
right.
had, he had cancer.
Oh. Okay.
So then it's me.
Hold on one second. I gotta get back up to your mom and dad. All right. So, all right, Dan, you're next. All right. Oh, and you go by Dan.
Yep, go by Dan. We're not
What's
using
your-
my little kid name.
Okay. Daniel, what's the middle initial or name?
Joseph.
I'll just put J on that. All right.
Both of my grandfathers were Joseph.
And then when were you born?
August 29th, 1960.
August 1960. In Albany?
Yes,
Oh, you know why? Albany's in Albany County, not Rensselaer County.
it is.
That's why I couldn't find it. I was putting in Rensselaer. All right. You're still alive. All right,
As
let me
far
add.
as I know.
Let me add your spouse.
Okay, so my spouse, Nilka, Nilka Rios, Rios.
Okay.
Thus my email.
Oh yeah, I saw the Rios. Yeah. All right. Now, when was she born?
She was born October 28th, 1963. This is a test.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Passing. So the real test is how about the next question?
Yeah,
When were you
yeah.
married?
When's the anniversary?
October 4th, 1997. But I have to say, I've got the page up on Ancestry, so I have to be
Cheating.
totally transparent.
Oh, we just lost Nini.
Oh, darn it.
All right. Well, I'll record this so she can get it.
Okay.
All right. So let me go back. I got to go back to you, Burrows. Or actually, I have to go back to Torpey. I want to do this right. Torpey. I'm going to go to. No. Joseph, right? Where's Joseph? Jeff Torpey. Okay. I'm gonna go down to Dan. Okay, so Dan and Nika. Okay, so you have kids.
Yep. She was born in Puerto Rico.
Oh, what's her name?
No, my wife.
Oh, your wife. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll go back to her. Nika, born in Puerto Rico. Nika.
It's Nilka.
Oh, it's not Nika. It's Nilka.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, I think I have that in there. I just didn't see it. My eyes are so bad. The font is so small on my monitor.
You know, maybe I don't want to get the new family tree maker. This one's nice and long.
Well, I could probably make it bigger. I just don't think I know how. All right, she was born in Puerto Rico.
Right.
Okay. All right, and then your children.
So the oldest is John Michael.
Michael.
He's got a different last name. He's Rios-Burrows.
Oh, okay. Rios Burrows. Okay. And when was he born?
July 6, 2000.
6th of July. 2000. Atlanta?
Yes. Yep.
Do you actually live in Atlanta?
We live about probably 30 miles outside of Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, is that Cobb County? No. DeKalb.
Yes, he was born in DeKalb County. Yep. Actually, Atlanta's in two counties, DeKalb and Fulton.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right.
That's
All
one of those.
right. So is he married?
No, he just finished
Okay.
college.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So we go back to Dan. So Dan, I got John Michael and who else?
Kiara, Kiara.
Okay.
Her
How about a
middle
middle initial?
T.
T. Okay. She's a female.
Yep.
And when was she born?
December 9th, 2003.
9th of December 2003. Same place.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And that's it, just two?
Yep, just two. Started at age 40 and ended at age 43 on the baby department.
I'm not too much. I was born in 66 and my oldest was born in 2000. So not too far. There
Okay.
you go.
So
All right.
you're younger than my brother. Even my brother was born in 64.
Yeah, I'm the youngest. I just realized this. I'm the youngest of the Torpey, of the Marguerite and Jack Torpey grandkids.
You actually might be the youngest. No, Patty might be younger than you. Patty might be younger than you. For the extended generations.
Well, that's why I want to do this because, people are dying. Like Aunt Rita just died, and she would have been a wealth of information. I could have gotten help identify who these people are in some of these photos and stuff.
Yeah.
And now Chris Higgins, Nini mentioned him earlier. I just kind of found him on Facebook, and he lives in Massachusetts somewhere, but he says that he has, and his mother was Rita Higgins, so she was our grandmother's youngest sister. Rita was the youngest, but quite a bit younger, like 20 years younger.
Oh, wow.
But she apparently has a whole bunch of her photos, and he doesn't know anybody who they are in the pictures. So, but I mean, I want to see this stuff and get a copy of it before something happens to him. He's in his 70. I don't know if he's 70 maybe. So anyway, yeah, they're getting old. And this guy Rick Sharon, I finally made a connection with the Sharons, and he's in his 70s now, and then he has a cousin who lives up in somewhere not far from Hoosick Falls. Can't think of the name of the town, but he has a whole bunch of stuff, all on the Sharons, and that's a whole other piece that we don't have really too much on.
Yeah.
But like nobody's doing this kind of stuff, so I can't wait until I'm retired. Really, I got to start now. I think,
I've been collecting stuff here and there, and I don't necessarily have the photos as much, although as soon as I get them, I'm saving them. And so I'm retiring in August. My wife had retired in April. And, this is one of the things I want to do more. And my wife is, we've been searching, but I was going to ask you, oh my God, I can't stay up this late anymore, but I was staying up to midnight and 1 o'clock trying to do searches because I just couldn't stop.
Yeah, and I know it's addicting.
It is. And I like it. And it's funny. I talk to my friends and some of them really want to know. And some of them are like, I don't care. And one of my friends is Polish and Italian. And he's starting to trace back, and he found out his grandma, was from Italy. Her name was Mary. And I'm like, well, was it really Maria? He goes, no, she just chose Mary. Her name is something totally different, and found her information in Italy. And then the Polish side of the family, he actually has, military heroes who fought in Poland, relating to his grandparents were from Poland. And so he's finding all this stuff out, and it's really, I don't know, I'm fascinated by it. So
yeah, no, I love it. I love that stuff. Yeah, and it's actually past my bedtime too, but it's Saturday night. Normally I'm in bed by 9 or 9:30 because I get up pretty early.
Yep.
But we started late because I think Nini, the few times I've talked to her, she likes to do it after 7. because she's kind of tied up with her family before 7,
Uh-huh.
I think. So,
Well,
but if
we
we
got a
do
lot
like a group,
covered.
what's that?
Got a lot of ground covered.
Yeah, we did. You want to, you want to finish the rest, or you want to call it a night?
Well, it's up to you. I usually go to bed at 10, but what do we have left to do? Who do we have?
Well, we just have Michael, Nikita, Charlie, and John. Oh, did we already do John? John's kids? No. John, I think I wrote a note. Oh, John didn't have any kids. John, your
Nope.
brother, your uncle, or your brother rather, that died from cancer. He didn't have any kids.
Oh, Michael. No, my brother doesn't have kids. Charlie is his partner.
Oh, okay. Oh, so Michael. Okay, so Michael. Now we're on to Michael. John's the one who died, right?
Yes, John died. Yeah,
Okay. All right. So Michael, you want to do him?
sure. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
Mike.
it.
Okay. When was he born?
August 26, 1964.
26th of August, 1964. I'll skip the places. I'll make it easy. We'll skip the places.
He
How's
was
that?
he was just Albany too, like me.
Oh, okay. All right. Albany County. All right. Is he married or he just no?
Oh, domestic partner.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just make a note of that. Maybe I
Yeah.
won't add that person in. Okay.
Yeah.
Domestic partner.
Yeah, after all those years, and New York passes a law where they could get married, and now he's like, why bother now? And I'm like, okay, all right, whatever works for you guys.
What's his domestic partner's name?
Charlie Page, Page.
Okay. All right. So I'll just put that in there.
We
And then
they didn't have kids, no kids.
Okay. All right. And then is the next one Nikita? I've got.
Nilka is my wife.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you don't have a sister named Nikita.
No, I have. It's just John Patrick, Michael, and myself. Just three of us, three boys.
Okay. So John. Oh, so that's it. So we're done then. Okay.
Yeah. So you can go to bed. Look at that.
I'm all wound up now, but I am getting my eyes are kind of tired.
Yeah.
But
So where do you live in Florida?
I'm in Tampa. Well, I'm in Palm Harbor, which is a suburb of Tampa, or it's not really a suburb, but it's next to Tampa.
Okay. And then
It's-
Tammy's your wife, is it?
Yeah, Tammy. Yeah, I didn't give you any of my information. We can do that again some other night if you
Next
want.
time. Yeah. You guys look like you have fun. Good for you.
Yeah, we do. We just got back from seeing her family up in Ohio, and we're gonna go. I'm gonna stop the recording here. Stop recording.
Yeah, you don't want your
Stopping.
wife to find the tapes in case you say